How do we add rational expressions with the same denominator? Let's start with just numbers first. If I have 3 over 5 and I want to add to it 1 over 5, notice we have the same denominator. Since it is the same, we keep it and we just add the two top numbers. You do not add the 2 5s on the bottom. So you end up with 4 over 5. If I have 3 over x and I want to add to it 5 over x. Again, we have the same denominator. Keep it. 3 plus 5, that's 8 over x. I might have 5 over x minus 1. I want to subtract from it 3 over x minus 1. Again, the same denominator. X minus 1, 5 minus 3, which is 2 over x minus 1. I could have 7t over 10. I want to subtract from it t over 10. Notice the same thing in the bottom. 7t minus t, that's a 1t. What's 7 minus 1? 6t over 10. Now this one can be simplified. I can divide the 6 and the 10 by 2. By 2, this is 3. By 2, this is 5. So my answer will be 3t over 5. Let's try a few more. Ten m over 3n plus 5m over 3n. This is the 3n. 10m plus 5m. That's 15m over 3n. Again, I can simplify that. By 3, this is 1. By 3, this is 5. And my final answer is 5m over 1n. I don't put the 1 there. It's 5m over n. I could have 6t minus 7 over t minus 1 plus 1 over t minus 1. T minus 1, that's 6t minus 7 plus the 1, which is 6 t minus 6 over t minus 1. And now, can we simplify that? And the answer is yes. How do we simplify it? We can factor a 6 out of the top. If you factor a 6 out of the top, what's left? T minus 1 over t minus 1. Now notice these two are the same. Cancel each other out. And my final answer should be 6. Let me try a bigger one. y squared plus 10y plus 1 over y plus 5. I'm going to add to it 2y squared plus 4y minus 6 over y plus 5. All of these, again, you have the same denominator. That stays the same. We take the two polynomials on the top and we add them together. And let's clean it. What's y squared plus 2y squared? That's 3y squared. What is 10y plus 4y? 14y. What is 1 minus 6? That's a negative 5 over y plus 5. And my next step is, can I simplify this? Can I factor the top and hopefully something will cancel? Well, if it's going to cancel, that means I should have y plus 5 on the top. So let me try to factor it. The 3y squared is 3y and y. And the negative 5, that means 1 is negative, 1 is positive. So I'm going to try the plus 5 here and the minus 1 here. And the reason I did that, I'm hoping, I'll check it in a minute, I'm hoping this will cancel that. That'll be the correct factoring. Well, before we get excited, let's make sure this is the correct factoring. What's minus 1 times y? Right here, that's a negative y. That's plus 15y. 15 minus 1 is 14. That is correct. So now the y plus 5 cancels the y plus 5. And my final answer is 3y minus 1. Let's try some subtractions. We've done more addition than subtraction. Let's try some subtractions. Seven a minus 4b over 3a minus a minus 4b over 3a. The bottom stays the same. The top will be 7a minus 4b minus a minus 4b. What is 7a minus a? To me, that's 6a. What is negative 4b minus negative 4b? You're subtracting the same thing. That's a 0. They cancel each other out over 3a. Notice the a's will cancel each other out, gone. And 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So the answer to that is just simply 2. Let's take this, 9xy minus 5xz over 4y minus z minus xy minus 3xz over 4y minus z. Again, we have the same denominator. Let's leave it alone. The top will be 9xy minus 5xz minus xy minus 3xz. 9xy minus xy, that's 8xy. Negative 5 minus a minus, that's a plus. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Now we can factor 2x out. If you factor 2x out, what's left? There's a 4 left here. 8 divided by 2 is 4. X is gone. There's a y. 2 is gone. X is gone. There's a z here. And what do you know? These two will cancel each other out, and my final answer is 2x. Let's try one more. Two x plus 13 over x squared minus 7x plus 10. Now I'm going to subtract from it 5x plus 7 over x squared minus 7x plus 10. Again, what do you notice? The bottom is the same. Leave it. And that will be 2x plus 13 minus 5x plus 7. Clean it. What's 2x minus 5x? Negative 3x. What is 13 minus 7? Plus 6. Again, don't get excited. You're not done yet. Can I simplify this? Let's see. Can I factor anything? I can factor a negative 3 out of the top. If I do that, I still have an x, and this becomes a minus 2. Minus 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times a negative 2 is plus 6. The bottom, if you factor that, that's x minus 2, x minus 5. Gone. My answer is negative 3 over x minus 5. And if you don't like to write it this way, put the minus in the front. Either one is good. 3 over x minus 5. So you can leave it like this or like this one. All these problems weren't really that bad. That's because the bottom was the same. You have the same denominator. When the denominators are different, we get a different story. It's more complicated. So before we talk about that, let's talk about the least common denominator. And how do we find that? And the reason we're interested in that, because if you want to add two numbers with different denominators, you know you can't add them because they have different denominators. So we have to make the denominator the same. So we'll try to find the least common denominator for 2 and 5. And the first number that's divisible by 2 and 5 is the 10. So I'm going to make that a 10. Well, how do you make it a 10? You take the 1/2 and you multiply it by, to make the bottom a 10, you're going to multiply it by 5. And if you multiply the bottom by 5, you're going to multiply the top by 5. And to change the bottom to 10 for this, I got to take the 5, multiply it by 2. When you multiply the bottom by 2, you multiply the top by 2. So this problem becomes 1 times 5, which is 5, over 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 4 times 2, which is 8, over 5 times 2, which is 10. Now notice these numbers are the same. 5 plus 8, which is 13 over 10. The 10 is the least common denominator. So this is my LCD, which is the least common denominator. Well, you can find the LCD for this because it wasn't that bad. But as the problem gets more complicated or bigger, it becomes more challenging. So let's say we have 2 over 9a squared, and the other one 1 over 12a to the 4th. It says find the LCD, the least common denominator for both of these. And what you want to do is really factor each one of these completely. When you take the 9a squared, I'm going to factor that using prime numbers. 9 is not a prime number. 9 is 3 times 3, and a squared is a times a. The 12, a to the 4th. 12, 3 times 4, but 4 is not a prime number. 4 is 2 times 2 times 3, that's a 12, times 4 a's. So this one you can write that 3 squared times a squared. This one you can write that 2 squared times 3 times a to the 4th. The LCD is the multiplications of all different factors each of them is raised to its highest power. Each of them is raised to its highest power. That's the definition of the LCD. So the LCD here, I'm going to look at the two groups here. This is one group. This is the other group. The different factors I see in these boxes, I see a 2, I see a 3, I see an A. And the highest power of 2 is what? The 2 here. The highest power of 3 is 2. Notice, I don't look at them combined. I look at each one. Each is raised to its highest power, its own highest power. The highest power is 2. The highest power is 1. 2 is bigger than 1. And the A, this is 2, and that's 4. The highest power is 4. 2 squared, that's 4. 3 squared, that's 9. And A to the 4th, and my LCD will be 36 A to the 4th. Let's take a few more examples and try to find the least common denominator for now. Once we feel comfortable with it, we'll show you how to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. So if I have 1 over 6 and 2 over n, I said find the LCD. Well, we know it's the multiplication of all the different factors. Look at the two things in the bottom, the 6 and the n, and it's the multiplication of them. Well, they are different. 6 is different than the n, so you multiply them and your answer is really 6n. It's the product of these two. Find the LCD, another one, we'll make it a little bit bigger, of 1 over 10x and 7 over 12x squared. So the 10x can be written as, again, factor the 10 using prime numbers, 2 times 5 times 1x. It's one of each, that's it. The 12x squared, 12 is what? 2 times 2 times 3 times x squared. That's 2 2's, 1 3, and x squared. My LCD for that, it's the multiplication of all the different factors. Look in both boxes. I see a 2, I see a 3, I see a 5, I see an x. These are the different factors, each raised to its highest power. The highest power of 2 is 2. The highest power of 3 is 1. The highest power of 5 is 1. The highest power of x is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5, that's 60 x squared. Let's take another one. Find the LCD of 1 over 5x and 7 over 15 x y to the third. Again, the 5x is 5 times x. I can't simplify that anymore. The 15 x y to the third, the 15 is 5 times 3 times x times y to the third. My LCD is the multiplication of all the different factors, the 5, the 3, the x, the y, each raised to its highest power. The highest power of 5 is 1. Again, don't add the 2. You look at each box separate. The highest power of 3 is 1. The highest power of x is 1. The highest power of y is 3. So my LCD is 5 times 3 is 15 x y to the third. Now let's make them a little bit bigger. There we go. Find the LCD for 9x or 9y plus 1 over 2y squared plus 2y and y minus 5 over y squared plus 2y plus 1. Again, I don't care about the top. We're only looking at the bottom, the least common denominator. So let's look at the 2y squared plus 2y. Can we factor that? I can take a 2y out. If I factor 2y, what's left? Y plus 1. Let's look at y squared plus 2y plus 1. When you factor that, that's y plus 1 times y plus 1, which you can write that y plus 1 squared. So what is my LCD? It's the multiplication of all the different factors. I see the 2y as a factor. I also see y plus 1 as a factor, and each of them raised to its highest power. There is a 2 here. So my LCD is 2y times y plus 1 squared. No, go on the next page. Find the LCD for 7p plus 1 over p plus 2 and 5p over p plus 1, and we'll do one more. Have fun with it. 3p plus 1 over p plus 5. Let's take the p plus 2 in the first one. Can we simplify that? Can we factor that? No. So it's p plus 2. That's it. Let's take the p plus 1. Can you factor that or simplify it? No. P plus 1. Let's take the p plus 5. Factor that. P plus 5. You really can't simplify any of them. What's my LCD? It's the multiplication of all the different factors. So it's p plus 1, doesn't matter which one we write first, p plus 2, and p plus 5. So in this case, not much I can do. Let me make one big one, then we'll move forward. So one more, finding the LCD. Find the LCD for, here's the one. Two y over x squared minus 2xy plus y squared the other one, x over x squared minus y squared, and the third one, x minus y over x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. That means I got to take each one of these denominators and factor them. That's x minus, well, this sign's plus, that tells me both signs the same. And the y squared is y and y. And that will give me definitely the minus 2xy. So since these two are the same, there's two of them. This one, this is the difference of two squares. X minus y, x plus y. The last one, this can be factored, x. Notice that's a plus, both signs the same as this one. Both are positive. So what is my LCD? Is the multiplication of all the different factors. You look inside these three boxes, what you see is x minus y and x plus y. And each of them is raised to its highest power. So x minus y squared, x plus y squared. Why are we interested in the LCD? Well, that's because of the next topic, which is what? When you want to add fractions with different denominators, you really can't add or subtract. You need to find the common denominator, and that's where the LCD comes in. So if I said to you, what is 3 over 5x squared and let's say I want to add to that let me start with an easier one. 3 over, I'll leave it 5x squared, and I want to add to it 2 over 5x. Well, these two are not the same. I can't add them unless the bottom is the same. So I got to find the LCD. When you look at the 5x squared, that's 5 times x squared, And the 5x, it's 5 times x. So my LCD, just like in the previous half, just 2 minutes ago, it's the multiplication of all the different factors, each of them raised to its highest power. So it's 5x squared. So now I'll take the first one, the first fraction, and the good news, that's already over 5x squared, so I don't have to change it. But the second one, it's not 5x squared. So to make it 5x squared, I will need to multiply the top and the bottom by x. So this becomes 3 over 5x squared plus 2 times x, 2x over 5x squared. And since these two are the same, it's 3 plus 2x over 5x squared. And you know by now I like to write them in descending power. So it's 2x plus 3 over 5x squared. So that's why we looked at the LCD. So when we're adding fractions with different denominators, we need to find the least common denominator, rewrite each one of these fractions, then go ahead and add them or subtract them. Let's try another one. What is 1 over 5y minus 2 over 15y squared? Again, first thing I spotted that these two are different. I have to find the LCD. Factor each one of them. The 5y, it's 5 times y. The 15y squared is 5 times 3 times y squared. And my LCD is the multiplication of all these different factors, each of them raised to its highest power. 15y squared. So now I need to rewrite each one. I said this is 5y, there's the minus sign. The second one is good. It's already over 15y squared. This one is not. How would I change the 5y to 15y squared? Well, I need to multiply it by 3y. What's 5 times 3? 15y times y squared. But if I multiply the bottom by 3y, I need to multiply the top also by 3y. So this becomes 1 times 3y, which is 3y, over 15y squared minus 2 over 15y squared. Since these two are the same in the bottom, it becomes one fraction 3y minus 2. Let's try this one. X plus 2 over x minus x minus 4 over x plus 3. Notice these two are really different. So I don't have to waste too much time on them because my LCD is going to, I can't simplify any of them. So my LCD is always the multiplication of all the different factors. So it's x times x plus 3. So here's the first one. How would I make the bottom x times x plus 3? That's only if I multiply it by x plus 3. I already have the x here, so I need to multiply it by this one. Well, if I multiply the bottom by this, I need to multiply the top by the same thing. Here's the minus. And I'll leave a space here, x minus 4, x plus 3. Again, I need to make this look like this. What's missing from it is the x. If I multiply the top and the bottom by x, I will have x times x plus 3. So now I can rewrite this as, let's FOIL this one, that's x squared, plus 2x and 3x, that's 5x, I'm using the FOIL method, plus 6 over x times x plus 3. Here's the minus. And let's multiply this. What's x times x? X squared minus x times 4, 4x, over x times x plus 3. Notice the bottom is the same. Now you make it one fraction. What is x squared minus x squared? Gone, 0. What is 5x minus a negative 4x? Minus a minus, that's a plus. So what is 5x plus 4x? That's 9x plus the 6. And you should always try to simplify that, because you never know if anything cancels out. I can take a 3 out. What's left? 3x plus 2 over x times x plus 3. And nothing simplifies, cancels, that's it. Let's try a few more. This is probably the toughest part of the course. Let's add here 3x minus 4 over x minus 1 plus x plus 1 over 1 minus x. Notice this is very similar to this. It's not the same. It's really backward. If they were the same, I'll be in good condition, good shape. But they're backward. Can I make them the same? Is there an easy way to make them the same? The answer is yes. Leave the first one alone. And if you want to flip this, make it x minus 1, you can. Just change that sign. So instead of a plus, make it a minus, and flip that one. Double flip, double negative, doesn't change anything. So notice I reverse that one, I flip that one, change that sign. Now these two are the same. What is 3x minus x? 2x. What's negative 4 minus the 1? That's negative 5. That's as far as you can go with it. Can't simplify it. I'll do another one similar to this. 7a plus 5 over a minus 1, and I want to subtract from it a over 1 minus a. Again, notice this is backward to this. Flip that one. I'm only flipping the bottom and changing that sign. It was a minus, becomes a plus, and you flip that one, a minus 1. Leave the top alone, the way it is. Now these two are the same. What is 7a plus a? 8a plus the 5. Again, let's keep adding. I'm having too much fun. I don't want to stop here. 1 over 4x minus 16 plus 2x over x squared minus 16. Let's factor the denominator of each one. This is 1 over, if I take the 4 out, this is what? X minus 4. This will be x minus 4, x plus 4. In my LCD, which is the multiplication of all the different factors, what do you see? 4 is a factor. X minus 4 is a factor. And x plus 4 is a factor. All these are different factors. So here we go. 1 over 4x minus 4. I want that to look like this. That's what I want it to be. So I want this one, the bottom, to look like this. I have the 4. I get the x minus 4. What's missing is x plus 4. So I need to multiply the top and the bottom by x plus 4. Here's the plus. I'll leave a space there. And again, I want this one to look like that. Notice I do have the x minus 4. I do have the x plus 4. The only thing is missing is the 4. So let me multiply the top and the bottom by 4 of this fraction. So this will be x plus 4 divided by 4 times x minus 4 times x plus 4. 4 times 2x, 8x over 4 times x minus 4, x plus 4. Now we can make it one fraction. Keep the bottom. X plus 8x, that's 9x, plus the 4. And I really can't factor the top, so I'm done with it. Let's try a few more. As I said, this is not easy. So you just got to keep trying. (3x minus 7) over x squared minus 1 plus 2 over 1 minus x. So if I factor that, 3x minus 7 over what? This is x minus 1, x plus 1. Well, before I continue, notice this is 1 minus x, but this is x minus 1. So this is not the same as this. It's backward. So I can use that little trick there. Instead of a plus, change that sign to a minus, and you flip the bottom of this one. So now I know what my LCD is. It's the multiplication of all the different factors. I see x minus 1, and I see x plus 1. So the first one is good. I don't have to touch it. So you want it to be over that. The second one, oh, sorry, minus. I already changed it. I'm looking at the wrong place. Minus 2 over what? X minus 1. But I want the bottom to look like this, so I am missing one piece from it. The piece that I'm missing is the x plus 1. So this becomes 3x minus 7 over x minus 1 times x plus 1 minus, let's multiply this. What's 2 times x? 2x. What's 2 times 1 is a 2. Now the bottom is the same. Three x, take away 2x from it, it's just 1x. Negative 7 minus the 2. Negative 7 minus the 2, that's a negative 9. And again, I can't factor the top, so it's x minus 9 over x minus 1 times x plus 1. Let's try 2 more. Hopefully you start to feel a little bit better there. Y over y squared plus 5y plus the 6 minus 4y plus 1 over y squared plus 3y plus 2. This could end up being a little bit big there. So let's factor each one. This one will be y plus 3, y plus 2. Here's the minus. This will be y plus 2, y plus 1. And once you factor them, you have your LCD. It's the multiplication of all the different factors. I see y plus 1. I see y plus 2, and I see y plus 3. This, and this. I got to change each one of these such that the bottom to look like this. So I have y over y plus 3, y plus 2. What's missing from this, because you want to make it look like this, what's missing is the y plus 1. So if you multiply it by y plus 1 in the bottom, you have to multiply it by y plus 1 on the top. Now you get all three of them in the bottom. Here's the minus, leave a space there. This is y plus 2, y plus 1, 4y plus 1. And again, to make this one look like this, it is missing the y plus 3. So if you clean this, I am going to have what is y times y? Y squared plus what's y times 1, which is y. This is the minus. Doesn't matter the order that you write them in here. If you use the FOIL method to simplify, to multiply these two, what's 4y times y? 4y squared. 4y times 3 is 12y plus 1y, that's 13y. And what's 1 times 3? That's plus 3. Now notice these are the same. We can make it one fraction. Y squared plus 4y squared, that's 5y squared. Y plus 30, oh, my mistake, that's a minus. Y minus, not a plus. Y minus 4y squared, that's negative 3y squared. Y minus 13y. What's y minus 13? Negative 12y. 0 minus a 3, that's a negative 3. And I could factor a negative 3 out of the top, and that will leave me with y squared plus 4y plus 1 over y plus 1, y plus 2, y plus 3. And I can't really factor this one, the top. There's no way I can take the 1, break it down to get a 4 here. So that's as far as I can go with it. One more. Let's say we have 2x over 5 minus 1 over x plus 1 minus x minus 1 over 4x. And again, my LCD, the 4 and 5, I can't break them down. It's 5 times 4x times x plus 1. This times that, which is 20x times x plus 1. Here's the 2x over 5. Somehow I need to make that 20x. So I need to multiply it by 4x times x plus 1. Because I got to make it look like this. the 5 times 4x times x plus 1. You're missing this and that. Here's the minus. Leave a space in the front. Notice what's missing from that. You have the x plus 1, but you don't have the 20x. So you multiply the top and the bottom by 20x. And the last one, I get the 4x, so I'm missing the 5 and the x plus 1. And now let's multiply. What's 2x times 4x? That's 8x squared times x plus 1 over 20x times x plus 1. 20x times 1, 20x over 20x times x plus 1. 5 times x minus 1 times x plus 1, or 20x. And we can clean it even more. That's 8x squared times x. That's 8x to the third plus 8x squared I can't simplify that. That's 20x if I multiply these two without the 5, that's x squared minus 1. Multiplied by the 5, that's 5x squared minus 5. Again, do the FOIL method with x plus 1 times x minus 1. Multiply these two first. Get your answer multiplied by 5. You end up with that. And now let's clean it. We can make it one fraction. Eight x cubed, there is nothing to take from it. I get 8x squared minus 5x squared. 8 minus the 5, that's 3x squared. How about the x's? There's nothing. There's a negative 20x. And minus a minus 5, that's a plus 5. And I get 4 terms. I could be thinking about factor by grouping, but I'm not going to get a common factor to them. So that's really the end of the problem here.